guys, this is Coach Matt from the Scorpions. This is a video to discuss basic cradling and stick handling. So if we have kids that can't cradle or protect their stick, it's very difficult to work on other more advanced skills such as dodging, which are integral to being an offensive player in the sport of lacrosse. Cradling stick protection obviously is important for everybody, whether it be the defensive players, the goalie. You have to be able to do this in order to protect the ball, to prevent the other team from getting the ball out of your stick. So what we do when we work on this is initially the easiest thing for kids to learn is doing a one-handed cradle, okay? So when they do one-handed cradle, they want to have their hand right below the neck and they want to just move the ball. They want to use centripetal force to go back and forth. Before you even have them pick up a stick, you can have them just practice it with their hands so that they learn that when they have the ball in a circular motion, that it's going to be less likely to fall out. So just think about if I run down the field like this, I drop the ball, but if I use my hand, then I can keep the ball in the stick. So you have them do that without the stick, and then you have them do it with the stick, and then after they get the hang of it a little bit, have them do it with their non-strong hand, and then have them partner up. If I'm partnering up with someone and I want to work on my cradling, what they can do is they can keep an eye out for when they see the ball and say ball. So they can take turns just to try to keep that cradle small. So you just have a little cradle here. And just do the same thing over here. The next thing you can have them do from that is with a partner. The partner now is trying to tap the stick with their hand. So it's just a way to keep the kids honest, to keep them with good stick protection. So after that, the next thing we can have them work on potentially is the roots. And that's when we place cones about 5 yards apart. We're doing this indoors because of the weather, so you just have to imagine that. But in that, we can have them work on cradling and moving in and out with the stick and working on that cradle and trying to keep the ball in their stick. So once they become comfortable with that initial cradle, with a one-handed cradle, we want to teach them what to do with their opposite hand. And there's lots of different ways that people teach this, but the way I like to teach it is we have to protect our stick. So we have to do something with our offhand. Some people teach this move. I don't particularly like that because if you have your arm out, somebody can still get underneath and get a check. If you have your arm here and it's tight to your body, you can think of it as if I have a ball underneath here. You can even have a ball. Just really tight, it's hard for somebody to lift you. So I like them to do that. And then what I want them to think about is having their chin, their front shoulder, and then keeping that stick protected. So that's another thing they can work on the roots. So I have this here, I'm running in and out, very little cradle, okay? And have them work on that, with both hands. So that's what we would be doing with the offhand. So we build that progression from no stick at all to having their stick, having a partner, moving in and out with the roots, and then being really conscious of what we do with that offhand. Okay, so that's a really important aspect of stick protection. The next thing would be, from there, we have to go to two-handed cradle. So two-handed cradling is a little harder for kids to understand, but a very necessary part of lacrosse. And we use them in different times. So we'd be using a one-handed cradle mostly when we're trying to run past our defenseman in traffic. So it's a good way to protect our stick. We're not looking to shoot or pass right away. If we're looking to shoot or pass right away, then we have to have two hands on the stick. And so that's where the two cradle becomes useful. And so what I always think about this is our bottom hand, that should be at the bottom edge of the stick, is loose. And then the top hand has the stick essentially over the base of the palm of the fingers and being gently held. Okay, we don't want them to hold it too tightly. We've gone over that in how to hold a stick videos. So what we're doing is there's a little bit of motion from this hand here, but most of the motion is from our top hand. And we're really just rolling the stick towards us. So you see how I'm doing that, okay? And so it can either be a little bit higher up, and this is our triple threat or our shopping position. By that I mean I can pass, I can shoot, or I can dodge out of this. Or if we're about to initiate a dodge, our hands may be a little bit lower down. When we're initiating a dodge and we're doing two-handed dodging, probably even more important to have your hands as far apart on your stick as you can, because you don't want to leave area to check. So if I'm here, I'm very strong in this. But the idea is basically that we want the kids to have this hand is loose, this, we want them in the fingers, thumb up on the side, and we're just doing a little cradle, okay? So we want to work on it with both hands and have them do that initially just in place. And then a way to do it, to teach them to keep their heads up, will be to cordon off a small area where a bunch of kids can be running around in that area and trying not to hit each other. So it forces them to have their head up. And then, as we discussed with a one-handed cradle, we can have them do this inside the cones. Once they become proficient at these things, then we want to have them start learning how to switch hands when they do this. And there's basically a proper technique to do that. A good way to start in the switching hands is just have them switch with their top hands. Have them get used to just moving the ball back and forth from here to here to here to here. And then we can have them do it with one hand, more of a hand exchange. So we're just doing this, just keeping the ball on our stick. After they get comfortable with that, then a change with two hands is something that we should teach them. So a change with two hands, what I think about is my top hand is going to come up on the shaft, and basically until it bumps the top hand, and then the top hand becomes the bottom hand. So this. So you can have them just practice this initially, both of these things when they're standing still. And then again, it becomes part of the roots. Okay, so we can do 1, 2, 3, move to the next one. 1, 2, 3, next one, 1, 2, 3. And then we work on switching hands of the cones. So I'm switching, coming over here. I'm switching, coming over here. I'm switching, coming over here. So we have videos that just demonstrate each of those things. But the basic progression, just to go over it one more time, is cradling with one hand with no stick, cradling with one hand, working with both hands on that. Then we're working on what we do with our offhand, stick protection wise. Then we move up to two hands, how to cradle with two hands. And then we work on how to change hands when we do these things efficiently. And that's cradling and stick protection.